Well, hello there and welcome to issue number 86, and this issue is all about the Leo Ox, and as you can see on the caption prior to the video, those are the dates you have to be in to fall into this Eastern and Western Zodiac combination. If there's any questions or any queries about anything, just drop me a message or drop me a comment on my website there, and I'll clear it up as soon as possible. If there's anybody 12 years previous, they will need to know the dates, and that's not a problem. Just message me and I'll clear it all up for you. So what happens when we get this fusion into one person? Well, we've got the Leo, as we know, very sunny, very loving, very giving, and very go-getting and powerful, and it meets the practical, plodding, and down-to-earth oxen. So what really happens when this combusts into the one person? Well, first of all, you will notice very young that you have quite a serious style Leo. Leos are known for having a smile and a joke, and they do love to crack practical jokes, and love running about with their mates and just really having a laugh. Nothing malicious, but they really prefer to laugh than anything else. But sometimes they can spend their days in the classroom laughing instead of working. Well, when the oxen's involved, you do get a bit more of a serious character, and I wouldn't say withdrawn so much, but very much a dampened down version, in the sense of they're not as big talkers as some Leos are. They're very good listeners, mind, but they're not so much the focal point. They like to sit back in the background a little bit. Yes, they will have a little collection of friends that they're socialised strictly with, 2 or 3 through the school times, maybe a couple more, but they'll be their hardcore of friends, but they won't be massive for the group thing like Leos are. Leos, other Leos will really do love to be sort of like the class clown sometimes, and if they're the boys and the girls, like to be well liked, and they tend to have many friends, and this one, not saying they won't have friends, but they'll be a lot more chilled out, a bit back from the scene, and it can be quite misleading. It's sometimes hard to notice this Leo. If you're trying to recognise Leos, this one can go under the radar a bit, because you really have to study hard. There will be the proud stance, there will be the sort of very leonine features. They will be prevalent, but you have to notice, because sometimes you get the guessing of the Leo with the actions just as much as anything else. So they're a little bit more withdrawn, and so you have to really study this one a little bit more. And they go through their school years. As we know, the Leos can be very bright, and sometimes they don't have to try, and they get away with it at the end when it comes to exam time, and even the teachers turn around and say, how did you manage that? You was mucking about for most of the year. But with this one, they will be a bit more studious. They take their time a bit more. So when they do get the good grades, it's not always as much of a surprise, because the teacher thinks, yeah, they do knuckle down when they have to. And that's what you get with the oxen into the mixture. You do get that, that pragmatism where they know, okay, I've got to get on with it now. I'll muck about at break time, but now I need to get the work done. And they tend to be pretty good studiers, a little bit slower than others, but they tend to be very thorough and very confident in their way, in their methods, the way they go about it. Yes, they might be slightly slower than others, but they're very concrete in the way they do it. So they like to build it a little bit at a time. But what happens when they get to maybe college and university years, especially the early sort of adult years, is there tends to be a little bit of, how can we put it, the western side of us, the Leo, is, what is the outer, and the oxen is the inner. So what tends to happen, there's a bit of a conflict when they get into this sort of impressionable sort of time, really, 18, 19, 20, 21, where you've got the Leo, it's got the goals, it's got the vision, and it's got the drive, but the Oxen is seeking perfection. It wants to slow the Leo down, it wants to slow the Leo side of his character down, and says, look, hold on a minute. And therefore there can be disappointments quite early and quite quickly, because the Leo wants to jump in there, wants to get it done, it wants to get involved, it wants to move as quickly as possible. They normally have a great grasp on what a task is in hand is needed. They know what they've got to do. But the Oxen slows them up a bit in their minds, and they sort of think, well, hold on a minute. And then there's a confidence issue then. All of a sudden they start to question themselves, and that confidence that they may have had when they were younger seems to have sort of ebbed away, where they're thinking, well, hold on a minute, maybe I should take this a bit more practically, maybe I should be a bit slow on this. And sometimes they miss opportunities, and then that's where the problems start. They get really, really down on themselves, because they sort of think, oh, I'm underachieving, what am I doing? You know, sometimes they feel in limbo. They can give themselves a lot of mental stress, and that's what happens to this combination. What I would suggest, I would say, okay, let the Leo have the vision, let the Leo have the goals, because it needs that. So we can't take that away from you, right? But the Oxen's just got to free up a little bit and say, okay, I'm going to work with this, I'm going to work with this. I'm not going to question that side of me so often. I'm going to trust you a bit more, because, you know, the Oxen will take care of the details in any core subject or any task that's needed. So we don't have to worry there. Let the Leo be you know, the refreshing side of you, taking on the ambitious look, going for things, you know, and it's just about trusting yourself, because otherwise mental anxiety comes along quite quickly in this combination. They're left in limbo a bit. They really don't know what they want to do with their life sometimes, and it's because of this. This confidence, this toing and froing of, oh, I don't know. Well, sometimes you have to let that Leo, because you are the lion, take hold of it, Oxen. You know, just let them grab hold of it sometimes, because you're going to build the blocks in place. You know, you've just got to free up your character a little bit. That's what I'm really meaning to say. You've got to free that character up and take them chances, because what can happen is such a lovely combination, but because they can have this confidence issue and they can be held back a little bit by their own mind, those chances pass them by, and then you meet somebody in their 30s full of regret, and sometimes in their 40s very regretful, because they're ultra capable, but they just didn't take that risk, they just didn't take that chance. They know they can pull it off, because what you've got to remember, the Oxen is ultra methodical, and they won't allow, you know, your inner self won't allow you to muck this up, because the Oxen are just give that detail to the Leo vision, and that's a wonderful combination if you just let it flow, let it be free, because these people can bake, you know, they're fantastic with electrics, carpentry, anything like that, you know, they really are, but to expand the business you do have to be a bit, I'm going for it, so you've got to allow that to happen. You can't just plod in that same thing, because it only comes back and it makes you very anxious in later years, or, you know, you can get a bit sort of a bit cranky, really, thinking, I mucked it all up, you know, why didn't I do that then? And, you know, and you hate it when other people remind you, because they go, oh, such and such, what brilliant carpenter he was, what happened to him, he should be doing this, you know, and things like that. They get reminded of it a lot, so just be a lot freer and go for it, you know, that's what I really want to say. So really, let's look at a great partner for the Oxen. The Leo Oxen is a fabulously loyal combination, you know, they need a great partner behind them, and to work with them. So it's important that they could get this partner early. I say the younger in their life the better, because that could really boost their inner confidence as well. You know, somebody who's like-minded and who will sort of say, no, they push them on, they say, I've got faith in you as well. So maybe that's what might tip the scales. They normally have very loving families behind them, and as much as they try and reassure them, it really does take a partner to do it. So let's look at the great combinations that will help them. Well, we have to go to roosters. Roosters will have the work ethic, the support, and they will just dig deep with the Leo Ox character. They dig deep at times when they're needed. They dig deep and they work together, and they really will fill them full of confidence, which they're going to need. The Rooster's going to be there at the end of the day saying, I know you can do it, and they will jump in and help out as well. So the Oxen never feels alone with the Rooster. They feel as though they've got a soulmate there where they're going to battle through. Doesn't matter what comes at them, they've got somebody there and they can bounce off. And you know, when they need to be quiet, this combination, which very often they are, you know, they've got someone who understands that. They've got someone who says, you've got your making your own space. They've got someone who's very understanding. So let's look for the Libra Rooster, the Sagittarius Rooster, the Aries Rooster and the Gemini Rooster. Wonderful matches, really, really good. And if they can find each other in early years, that's wonderful, you know, sort of like in those early 20s, that'd be fantastic, you know, fantastic thing to happen. Also, we have to look at snakes for the Oxen, because the snakes, with the sensuality, they have the soothing and the cajoling nature that can really help the Oxen when they do get anxious and they get sort of like a bit down themselves. But the snake fills them with that inner peace, if you like. They're very soothing, they're very loving, and they're very healing in that way. So the Ox does respond, because they do need to, you know, really start the healing process mentally. And the snake's brilliant there, and they're great problem solvers, the snakes. So you can talk to them and say, oh, I don't know. And the snake will break it all down, simplify it and say, you can do it. You definitely can do it. And we know the snake's a very powerful creature to have as your ally as well. So if we look at the Libra snake, the Sagittarius snake, the Aries snake and the Gemini snake, they're all fantastic, and I would advise, you know, any of those would be a wonderful match. The ones to avoid are going to be goats, because goats need their own bit of reassurance. They tend to be quite gentle folk as well, and when the Oxen is in one of their serious, quite tough and searching moods, the goats can find that very unsettling, and likewise the Ox can think the goat's a little bit flaky sometimes, which is totally not true, but it's just the way they see each other, and they think, I don't know, when the going gets tough here, I feel as though I'm on my Todd, and that, you know, and that kicks off the lack of confidence, that then kicks off the anxiety. So please, no goats, because it just causes a lot of problems down the line. Health-wise, well, with the Leo Oxen, we really have to be careful of the joints, like with all the Oxen, but especially in the ankles and in the knees, because they are weak and they're vulnerable. They tend to be quite tall characters and not especially heavy, but their ankles tend to take a lot of the punishment, where having the feline look here at the ankles, but with the Oxen body, it's sort of a lot of pressure on those joints. So try and keep as active as long as possible is my answer, because hey, you love sports, a bit of confidence with your sports and you can go far. That's the thing, you know, sometimes you give up sports when you lack that bit of confidence, but really you were very good in the first place. So, you know, try and back yourself a little bit. That's all I want you to do, and you'll go very, very far. Thank you for tuning in, and please tune in for my next issue. Thanks very much.